Everyone, from me, Brent Graham of goodforthegame.co.za, and welcome to this Currie Cup Week 5 betting preview. That shirt says it all. It's been a long week. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I can tell you, I see Mark Dunphy in the live chat. Let's just hope he doesn't get kicked off. We've had some problems. I have no idea what's happening, where he's getting banned. But evening to you, Mark. Well, interesting one. This the Oracle due to join me on the show, but I have a feeling he's fallen asleep. I tried to phone him just before the show, and I see he's last seen at 9:21. So maybe the start was a bit late for the Oracle. We did it, of course, for the Olympic Games. So it looks like it could be me going solo. The show is certainly going to be short and sweet. Keeping an eye on my phone to see if the Oracle does join us. Well, anyway, guys, just having a look back at last week. Certainly good success for the newsletter. It was a bit of a late call, but there's some good information on the Good for the Game forum. When Griffins over 12.5 points, they didn't have a point after 33 minutes. But in the end, the bet arrived comfortably. And we also hit a nice Olympics bet as well, have to be in the newsletter. Good news, just when I was starting to think he wasn't going to arrive, he is here. Welcome, Oracle. Oracle, how are you, sir?
You can thank my wife for me showing up. I fell asleep on the couch watching the swimming. So she moans at me every morning because she's got a deadline to be at work at 9 o'clock, and I get out of bed a little bit later than I should be. So she moans at me every morning, get up, you got to go to bed. And so, you know the saying, how does it go? Better late than dead. I'm a bit sarcastic to my wife in the morning, and I say, well, when you get to work, just tell him, better dead than late, you made it. So better dead than late. I made it to your show, Brent. I do apologize. I was on the couch sleeping. I'd fallen asleep at least half an hour ago. I did watch the main races, but fell asleep. Sorry, but I'm here.
No problem at all. I thought it was going to be my first ever solo show. I was getting ready to talk through the game.
No, we won't force that on the public.
Well, it would have been short and sweet, I can tell you. But looking back to last weekend, I mean, I was just saying I hit the Griffins over 12.5 points. We got some good information there on the Good for the Game forum. But a slow start for you in the first two games, but you came back strongly. The Bulls, they were in trouble against Province, but they came back to beat them quite comfortably. And at the end of the day, you had the Pumas. I think it was it Pumas over the Greek was quite big. So you were 2 from 4 last week.
Yeah, it was the two that I probably wasn't that strong about. In fact, it's exactly what it was. I was very strong on the Lions, and I was very strong on the Cheetahs against that Griffins team. I have to say two things. Firstly, I get a message during the Lions game from our mate in Durban. Simple English sentence. Lions fans are quiet. ? I said to him, this is a great game for the Sharks. They played well, and it's Currie Cup. I mean, anything can happen. But I must be honest, I was very surprised. You and I spoke via WhatsApp during the latter stages of the Cheetahs game. I was very surprised at a couple of things. Firstly, as you said, they started off with a fantastic lead. Looked like I was going to be 100% right. It would be 100-0 or 90-0. And then they went to sleep. But that's as bizarre as that is. And that is bizarre. Let's not play games here. The most bizarre thing for me was the final try by the purple team, the Griffins. At the end of the game, they're losing by 7. Time is counting down. And the Oak visibly is charging the corner flag. Absolutely no intention of even thinking about how can I do this at best. I'm just going to score a try for myself, for my family, for my province, whatever section of province. He had absolutely no intention of thinking about a way that he could better that opportunity. If you watch the replay of that, I'm not going to say he's guaranteed to get under the poles, but he's certainly guaranteed to get at least halfway to the poles. Made no attempt. Scores in the corner, celebrates like the Stormers did against Munster, whoever beat them here, URC earlier this year. I mean, watching that game, I thought to myself, what the hell are the crowds celebrating for? They haven't won the game, only to miss the conversion and to lose. So, how many opportunities are the Griffins going to have this season? That's probably their opportunity. I didn't think they'd even come close to winning a game. They surprised me. There was poor management. It was poor thinking of a player. It was pure personal goals at hand. Screw the team. Let me score a try. It was silly. Anyway, so be it. That's what happened.
It wasn't the only one in the game.
Sorry, Brent. Sorry, one more thing. You pointed out to me that a couple of guys that backed them in the mid-20s to 1 to win the game. I feel for those guys. I really do, because they had an opportunity of winning it without the stupid mistakes.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as I say, I was fortunately on the Griffins' points in that game, and I mean, I never would have foreseen them getting 40. But I was certainly pulling for all the guys who were on the outright. And not only did they, I agree with you fully, it happened earlier in the game as well, where a guy actually ran to the corner when he could have just put it down. He was over the line. And he actually, not only did he not make his way to the post, he ran to the corner. And the other thing was they butchered a try in the last minutes as well. I mean, they could easily have scored a try there, which would have made it all null and void. But let's get into the action now. We got 4 games to talk about Oracle this weekend. And the first up, it's the Cheetahs at home to the Bulls in Bloemfontein. These sides met at Loftus. I think it was in week 3. The Bulls winning 25-13. And here we got the Cheetahs underdogs at +3.5 against the Bulls. Can they get the win in Bloemfontein, or are the Bulls going to carry their unbeaten streak?
If you'd asked me what this handicap was going to be before the tournament, so a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago, I would have told you Cheetahs would have been -15 here. They gave us all the bearings. In fact, even in last week's game, they started off, they come out the blocks fast. They started off well. I'm going to tell you to back the Cheetahs here on the board at what should be at least 14 or 13-10. I can't believe the Cheetahs, they've got the wrong favourite here, but I'm going to say that with inverted commas, because this Currie Cup has definitely taught us a couple of lessons this year. I came in firing and, shot some blanks in the last week at least. Yeah, listen, I think Cheetahs are the best team in the competition, but they're not completing games. They're not playing 80 minutes. They're a 60-minute team. And for patches, and when I say patches, I mean big patches. This Cheetahs team is really, really, really looking good. And then they go to sleep. I mean, they really, really went to sleep last week. So at home,
I think they were 33-0 up at one stage, Gav.
Yeah, I know. And then they went to sleep.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Johannes making.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother with. Sorry, Brent. I'm not going to bother with +3.5. I've always had a rule: if it's under 5 and the home team is the team that you like, not the favorite, but your favorite, you've got to go with the extra price, so to speak, lack of better English. For me, Cheetahs on the board here should be at least very close to 15-10, 13, 14-10. I'd take that. Happy with that. Handicaps are lottery. Yes, Johannes Stazen, spot on.
Yeah. Certainly has been a lottery in this Currie Cup. Some really strange form lines. And yes, points have generally been successful. I think it was just week 3 that had some low-scoring games. But generally speaking, you've done pretty well if you've gone overs on points. Blake comes in and says the Bulls team's looking decent. Blake, I'm in your camp there. I've looked at the teams. Also not with a great deal of confidence. I'll certainly be waiting for the points lines as well. But I actually think the Bulls here are kept this game a -5.5 Bulls. It's currently -3.5. For me, the Bulls are the team here. I just think they've got too much depth for this Cheetah side and that they're going to get the victory.
Before the tournament, how would you have priced up this game? Where I'm going, guys, how influenced have you been with what's happened in the last couple of weeks?
Look, it's not really that. I knew what we were getting with the Bulls this season. I mean, I knew they got a squad with a lot of depth. What I didn't know was the Cheetahs. So I would have struggled to price up initially. In the first week, I priced up and I did battle because I didn't know the Cheetahs side. And what I've seen of Cheetahs is they're not a bad side. I agree with you, but I disagree that they're the best side in the competition. I think the Bulls are the best side in the competition at the moment. And I think they've got the player depth. And the Cheetahs are perhaps just missing a few players. So for me, at the start of the competition, how would I price this one? Probably Cheetahs slight favorite, just before I'd seen the teams. But from what I've seen now, I agree that the Bulls are favorites for this game.
And how much of an influence do you think Ruan Pienaar leaving the team has made? Because I'm seeing that is a factor. I'm looking at the play and I'm thinking, would Pienaar have done that? Would he have done this? Would he have done that? I mean, I know it's one player and I know he's close to 40 years old, but I honestly think he was the glue that put these guys together. And him going south or missing. I know he's gone into management, but you know what they say, when they go into management, they get an office in the corner of the stadium, look out into the sunset, and they forget about what color the grass is. They forget about everything about it, and they get a bit of a big head. He didn't take me as that kind of person. I honestly thought he'd be a bit more in there, and he would have found somebody. I'm disappointed in this Cheetahs team. I really am. I thought they would have played better up until now, and as I said, they've been playing better in flashes or patches, but not overall. Yeah, I'm disappointed in them.
Yeah, look, I think Pienaar was a big loss. But generally speaking, looking across the team, there's been a few losses. I mean, Steyn himself, not playing anymore. Just they've lost a bit of experience. They're still a talented side. They could beat this Bulls side, no doubt about it. But yeah, for me, the Bulls are just a complete package as far as Currie Cup goes this season. I'm expecting them.
All right, let's have a case of beer. I don't know what our balance is at the moment, Brent. Let's go case of beer here on the handicap. 3 no bet. I'm on Cheetahs.
I think I'm about 2 up, but time
that's fine.
Right,
I'm happy.
100%. What's that on the handicap? 3.5. A case of beer with Oracle. 100%.
Yeah, three no bet if it lands on that.
Hey.
3 no bet if it lands on the 3. So I've got the 2 and less. You've got the 4 more.
100%. 3 no bet there. We'll move on now to the Pumas against the Sharks. This handicap. This was the game. We won't speak about that anymore, but we thought the Pumas were at home a couple of weeks ago. They were actually away. Point being, they went down to the Sharks, and they gave the Sharks quite a good beating in the end. The Pumas also hammered the Griquas by 40 points last week. They're now priced at -9.5 against a Sharks team that, Gav, you weren't the only one caught by surprise. I mean, the money came for the Lions last week in no uncertain terms, especially after the Sharks named a very young side. And in fact, it was those youngsters who stepped up and really outplayed the Lions. And the question is, can they go down to Nelspruit and do it against the Pumas? The betting market suggests not. We've got the Pumas -9.5.
Yeah, Lions supporters were very quiet, as my mate pointed out. Lions fans were very quiet. So that one happened to the Pumas. Pumas are a solid outfit. I would have taken this 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. For me, this is 15 to 20 points. I like the Pumas here. Best bet of the weekend for me. Pumas to win this game comfortably, closer to 20 than 10. They will beat the minus here. That Sharks team last week was a one-trick pony. The Lions took them for granted, as you said, completely brand new side. Nobody knew anything about them. And that's the beauty of Currie Cup. I mean, everybody says to me, why do you enjoy the Currie Cup? I say, because it's the birthplace of the Springboks. It's the Stars. It's where they come from. I remember so many Springbok players coming out of the ranks. I mean, a lot of guys won't know. Bucky's Berta was a Falcon when he took to the Currie Cup. He wasn't a Bulls player. He started off as a Falcon. And that guy from the Sharks, I can't remember his name now. He played on the wing, number 14, the Afrikaans surname. That came from Boerland. I mean, these guys came from the Currie Cup. They didn't play in big league teams, not big league teams, big name teams, whatever it is. Currie Cup, if you've got time, nothing to do on Friday afternoon or Friday night, Saturdays like me, close to retirement. I watch Currie Cup. I watched it my whole life. I love it. It's where the stars are born. So don't write it off. Of course, it doesn't have the caliber it did in apartheid South Africa in the late 80s and early 90s, and up until the Super Rugby and the URC. Those are the tournaments that everybody's playing. So the Currie Cup is the birthplace of rugby, or our Stars for that matter. Don't write it off. It's a great tournament. I love it. I'll never talk it down. It entertains me every year. Is it the same quality as what you get in New Zealand and England and France's lower divisions? Probably not, but it doesn't matter. I'm happy. I enjoy it. I will watch the game. I'll turn it on. I always read these articles. DSTV's in trouble, losing Premier subscribers. Fortunately, they're not losing me. I watch sports. I'm always going to pay my $800 a month. If I have to borrow, beg, or steal, I'll pay the $800 a month. So, those are the people that don't watch sport. But Currie Cup's great, and listen, don't write off that Sharks team from last week. I don't think they'll win this week, but they'll probably come back. And there were a couple of decent players in that game. But I like the Pumas here, and I think they'll win by close to 20.
And you'll probably quite like Dinesh, Dan's comments here. Pumas are surprise package. Sorry, with your hands, I was made to bring up Pumas overs points when it comes out. And I think for me in Nelspruit, this has a feeling of a high scoring game. Gav, what do you think?
I do. Is this a 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock game? Sorry, Brent. I can't remember what I saw, and I'm not looking at it.
This is a Saturday game, so I'm guessing it's either a 3 or a 5.
Okay, because I know that Pumas at Nelspruit at night time is quite open-ended. The daytime doesn't seem to be that much. But against a perceived weaker Sharks team, they should score a lot of points. Let's talk about this. So -9. Let's say points are, I don't know, 50. What's that? 50, 40. Sorry, not 50, 40. 30, 20 for 9. I'm guessing the Pumas get 35. And I'm going to say they win by at least 15, so that's 20, 55. I'd say points should be 55. I wouldn't be surprised going over at 55. However, and I've said this many times on this show, if you like the Pumas, I'd rather go over on Pumas points. Sharks are unlikely to score that much. Your view on the handicap does impact your view on total points. If you really don't know and you think it's going to be a free fall, then go over on total points. But in this case, from what he's just said now, I'm going to suggest you go over Pumas points and not over total points. You're more likely to win that.
Yeah, that's what I think that's what he suggested there as well.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Right. Let's move into the next game. This one I do have a fairly firm opinion on, but I'm going to get, and if you read the forum, and there's a link down below to that, you'll know what it is. But Western Province -41.5 against the Griffins. Gav.
All right. So every week of the year, this bet will win. Right, the minus. Every week. 51 out of 52 weeks. But this is a week it doesn't win. I'm a Griffins plus punter here. I'm gonna tell you that you're going to hear about stories of players being punch drunk. They nearly won the game. But I'm going to say because they nearly won the game, they're unhappy and they've tasted. What's that story when they wanted to kill the Sharks in the 60s and 70s, the actual Sharks, because they bit a human. They had the taste for blood, and the lions, some lion bit an actual human. They wanted to take them out. I'm going to say the Griffins got a taste of victory here. And you need to take them out. And they're not going to be taken out here. I think the Griffins come within +41.5, probably closer to 30. And talking about points, Western Province can probably score 50 here, but I do think the Griffins will score at least 20. So, again, we could have a 70-plus points a game here. I like the Griffins on the plus. And, there's a lot to be said about teams that nearly make it. And we know that, Brent, from golf, where players have come second, third, fourth, and fifth in a major the following week or the next time they play within a couple of weeks, they've got a mental letdown because they almost won a major and they don't know how to, they haven't got it out of their head. They're still playing. In this case, I'm going to say it doesn't apply in this game. This Griffins team, yes, they could have won, but the Oaks were going for the corner. It was probably more of a surprise they had a chance. I think in their debrief or their video analysis on Monday morning, they were going, hang on a second, we actually played okay here. We're better than we thought we are, speaking as them. I'm going to go +41.5 here. It's not a lot of confidence, but I think it is the right way to go. I'd be very scared to take -41 Western Province because I class Western Province as a weaker team in this Currie Cup, as we are, this long into the tournament, and we're not that long into it. But I don't class Western Province as a challenger for the tournament. So I think Griffins can target this game as a game that can get quite close. Will they win the game? They won't win the game. But I do think they can get closer to 30 than 40. Closer to 20 than 40. So around about the 30 mark, I'd expect this to be, but they will give it a go.
Interesting. Okay, well, you're in the total opposite camp to me, I could tell you. I don't like backing these massive handicaps, but I've looked at it and I say, I think the bookies are reading too much into a Griffins team that were 33-0 down to a weakened Cheetahs side, came back admittedly to score a few points. But if I look at the Griffins' form this season, beaten by over 40 at home to the Bulls, Western Province beat the Griffins by 49 points in Velcom with its weakened side. So, look, we haven't got team news yet, but I'm expecting Western Province to hopefully play something close to a full strength side. And I think they're going to be too strong for this Griffins outfit. Griffins' only road trip to date was a 70 or 63-point mauling at the hands of the Cheetahs. I'm worried. I don't like these big caps, but I looked at this, Gav. I capped this very differently to you. I capped this 52.5. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger, the cap. And obviously, and maybe they're right to look at it, but obviously the bookies have looked at last week's fight back and said, this maybe like you, they've tasted some blood. They've shown they can compete. But I'm not convinced. I think Western Province are going to win this, and I think they're going to win it fairly comfortably. So if anyone watching the show was hoping you and I would be aligned, they're going to be disappointed.
Let's look at it this way, Brent. So last week, if this fixture had happened before the Cheetahs game, I would have told you take the minus, but be a little bit concerned. It could be, it could end on 40 or 38 or 37. In other words, it would have been well priced. That's what I would have said last week. But after what happened last week, I'm going to say this handicap is 10 points too much. It would be fairly priced at 31.5, 30.5, 33.5. I honestly think it's very close to 10 points overpriced. In other words, they're thinking that, yes, the punters. I'm going to call them the clever punters won last week. They won on the over Griffin's points, including yourself, Brent. And I think they won on the plus, especially in running, when they saw a little bit of a comeback. And I think the handicap I did look at a couple of handicaps during the game last week. I think they were more in favor of the Cheetahs than they were in favor of the Griffins, almost thinking that they are going to be smashed. It was a slight blip. They came and scored a couple of tries, but they'll be mauled for the rest of the game. And, these algorithms, listen, Brent, let's make no mistake here. These handicaps are not made by humans like you and me. These are made by algorithms written by Zoomers and alphas and very, very young millennials. These are, this is the force of the world. It's AI. This is stuff that came up with this 41.5.
I'm not sure what you say that about Currie Cup, though, Gav.
No, I do believe that.
I think these caps are made by the World Sports Betting Trader on a Monday night. And I mean, I'm not saying, and he's going to get some wrong, but I don't know. I mean, you could be right. I could be right. That's the sort of Currie Cup this has been. We're each going to take a view. And obviously, we'll see which one is correct at the end of the day. And like I know, if Western Province run away with it, you'll put your hand up and say, okay, got that one wrong. And by the same token, if the Griffins push Western Province here, I'll say, I read the form. That's the way I read it. I'll probably do the same thing next week, but I was wrong in this case. And that's punting and handicapping for you at the end of the day.
Correct. And it goes down to the units. I mean, we used to speak about units here. And I remember explaining this. I had a 7th year anniversary on my wife's Facebook behind the scenes with Oracle with my elephant trunk. The guys used to call it what's it called? The umbrella stand that I had in my little wooden table. In those days, that's exactly what we did. We didn't know who was right and who was wrong. And today, computers are talking, and you might be right. The WSB pricer upper that decides to make a call on Tuesday night and puts out a price. How much of those? I'm going to tell you, I've dealt with a couple of these sport radar guys. They don't care about us in South Africa. They're not interested in PSL. They're not interested in local rugby. They make their own price. It's algorithmically derived. Sorry, a little bit slow on my very big English words I never use during the week when I go to the shop and talk to my friends. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. It's a computer that's doing it. And I think in 10 or 15 years, Brent, I don't think a human will be involved in making a price about anything. It's literally going to be 3 or 4 computers around the world devised by different individuals that are clever, and they'll put the stuff together. And as a punter, you'll figure it out. And let's talk about this game. Lions -9 in in Griquas. Listen, the Sharks nearly won this game. The Griquas have not impressed me. I've got to go minus lines here, but it's very tentative. Griquas won't win the game. This handicap is probably well set. I'd be a small minus here, but honestly, I'm not over the moon about it. It's almost minus or no bet for me. I don't think as I said earlier, I don't think the Griquas will win this game. It's a tough one. It really is. But the Griquas have not impressed me at all this season. The Lions have been, blowing hot and cold like the Sharks have and like the Griffins have in the last couple of weeks. Everybody's blowing hot and cold. Small minus here, but honestly, not a lot.
Yeah, I'm leaning with you towards a minus. Although I originally kept this game, Griquas plus 5.5, beaten by 40 points in Nelspruit. The big question mark for me is just around the Lions. Their performance against the Sharks was so disappointing. And they really, up until then, I mean, let's not forget this Lions side hammered the Pumas in Nelspruit. That's quite something. They beat the Sharks on the road. Okay, they beat the Griquas, I think, by 12 in Johannesburg. But I got a feeling the Lions side will come out, and they'll come out smoking here, looking to put last week behind them, because the Lions are not also sure of semi-final contention. I was having a look at the logs. It's quite important for them to win this game. And Gav, you and I may have taken us to the sort of final game, but we're united on this one. Lions minus 9.5.
Lions will be in the final, Brent. Don't worry about them missing semi-final. They'll be in the final.
Let's quickly.
I don't know where this final will be, but they'll be in it.
Yes. What's your best bet of the Currie Cup, Gav?
Yeah, Pumas.
Pumas minus 9.5 against Sharks.
And then second, Griffins plus for me, second. Good enough. I'm happy. Third, Lions minus, and fourth would be Cheetahs on the board. In that order.
All right. And myself, I like Western Province on the minus at 41.5. I'll probably look for points lines in the other games. But Gav, before we sign off, I know you and I are both following the Olympics, enjoying all the swimming and some of the other sports on the go. You got anything for punters to look out for on the weekend? Anything you particularly looking forward to watching from the Olympic point of view?
Yes. So a couple of things, Brent. We spoke last week, and I advised people, as I'd learnt in 2000, I gave a couple of examples of the long jump or high jump. I can't remember, was that German and the Greek guy in the 200. Well, last night was a perfect example. So they come up with this, I can't remember what it was, 200 backstroke, I think it was for women, or 200 freestyle, I can't remember. Anyway, so they bring up on the screen this girl, Sarah Sostrom. Now, early in the day, I'd done a bit of research. I'd looked at stats on these swimmers, and I saw this girl was third. She was favorite for the I think the longer race, the 200. She was favorite for the 200 or the 100. I don't know which one or the other. She was swimming in both, the 100 and 200. She's like 1-4 in the one race, and she's 5-1 in the other race. And I didn't know this, and I hear the commentator, and he goes, "Hey, this chick's 30 years old." So I do a little bit of a Google search, and she's the world record holder. And I think to myself, 30 years old, what's she doing in this race? Anyway, if you watch the replay last night, whatever the medal was last night, as I said, I can't remember whether it's 100 or 200. Now, we've seen horse racing commentaries where, the commentators are talking about the 2 or 3 horses in the front, and they miss one that comes in the inside or the outside, which eventually wins the race. And it's exactly what happens in this race. I think it was 100 meters. Anyway, this girl, Sostrom, the Swedish girl, wins with 3 meters to go. 3 meters to go, she goes in front and wins. And she was 6 or 7-1, depending on which site you went to yesterday. She wasn't favorite. She wasn't second favorite. And this is exactly what I was telling people last week. Look out for the old. I'm going to call them the oldies. So anybody over 27 years old competing in any event that has won a medal in the previous Tokyo or Rio, and is coming back for a third time or a second time if they'd won in Rio or they'd won in Tokyo and they're back again. But that's well over the average age of that race, and they've made it to a final. And if they've got a price, I promise you they're not joining this race to take part and fill up the numbers. They're there because they think they can win, and they're runners. Now, we got caught up in this Kutsa story. So Kutsa swims the backstroke in the heats, 100 meters. and he comes second to this guy, Kos, who he's calling him Kos or whatever. Kos is food in Afrikaans, obviously. And then they go into the final. Sorry, this is the semi-finals, and this Kosike doesn't even make the semi-final. Doesn't make the final, sorry. Kutsa comes fifth. I mean, within half a second or a second, maybe a second, he's in the medals. Comes into the 200. This like course over here is stuffing around again. Ike ends up winning. Now, I got to tell you, he would have taken people apart. The punters would have looked at this guy thinking he was half asleep. He didn't care. These youngsters, they can win from anywhere. They don't know their own strength. They've got different training patterns. I did enjoy, they were calling it every time the summer Macintosh won from Canada. They're going summer in Canada. I quite like that. The South African girl, she didn't perform tonight. Anyway, the point is, go out there, go and look at who's in these, go and watch the heats, go watch the semi-finals, and go and find out the runner or the swimmer, or I suppose more runner, we're going to athletics now, that shouldn't be in that final, wasn't expecting to be in that final, and has won a medal in previous Olympics and is over the age. In other words, well over the average, and get a prize, because these I'm going to call them experts, whatever, the commentators and the whatever they call themselves, the experts in this Olympics. They think they know what's going on. We saw a 50, not 50, he was 1975, so I'm 1971. He was 49 years old taking part in skateboarding. I don't know where he ended up on. Geordie Smith, I watched his surfing. He had a decent, he was very tactical. He won his third heat, I think it was, going in. He lost the quarterfinal. I didn't watch that. But tonight, if you're interested in surfing, unbelievable. Tahiti, it's exactly 12 hours apart from us. So right now, it's 10:30 in the morning. Both medals are today, or in the next couple of hours. Should start in an hour's time. If you haven't watched the surfing yet, and you're not that far down the beers, and you don't have to get to work tomorrow early, watch the surfing. It's well worth it. They haven't given us the distance, Brent, but it looks like it's about 100 meters, maybe 80. So these guys are getting on this wave, and they've literally got to get off in 70, 80, 90 meters. Otherwise, they're dead because there's a reef. In fact, the chicks are wearing helmets. They're surfing with helmets.
I saw them hopping off. I didn't realize that was why.
Yes. The wave is so short. Now, I grew up in Joburg, but as an adult, I grew up on North Beach, and there are no rocks on North Beach. The Oaks can surf however they like. Yes, they can hit a pier on the left or the right, but it's very unlikely. This place, the wave is spectacular, and they've got also, if you've watched, anyone who's watched professional surfing, they normally give them 10 or 15 minutes battles. So they've got to pick their waves in 10 or 15 minutes. This particular one, they're giving them half an hour. I've never seen half an hour before. So this goes until 3, 4 in the morning. I'm on my third bottle of BioPlus. I know we're in August now, but from July into August, I'm on 3 bottles of 200 mils BioPlus just to get through the day the next day, because I'm watching surfing and watching late night swimming and other stuff, and I'm loving it. This surfing has really, really impressed me. The tactical, they've got a thing called not preferential. Anyway, they give the guy the person who takes the wave first or in front, the other guy gets the option of taking the wave. So where Geordie Smith, if you watch that third round replay, so what he was doing is he was I'm going to put my hands up here. Every time the surfer is priority, the surfer with priority goes ahead, Geordie was about to take the wave. And as soon as I pulled out, he took the wave. So he surfed as much as 6 or 7 waves more. And I'm just reading Blake's message over here. Yeah, no. Well, there you go, Blake. You and I will be watching surfing tonight. I've already told my mates at work they'll see me a little bit later than they normally do. It's well worth it. But anyway, they've got a thing called priority. So 2 guys are going. And what Geordie Smith did was clever. And if I'm facing the screen, he's on the left-hand side. It's the right break. He's hanging there just half a meter behind this Indonesian guy going up against. And as soon as it looks like he's going to take the wave, Geordie Smith goes as well and waits for him to pull out, which he ultimately does 5 out of 6 of the times. And he goes and he gets the wave and he gets the points. So very, very tactical. We always look at golf and tennis and all sorts of different sports where there's tactics involved. But this surfing, I watched it with open eyes today. I used to watch it as just I'm not going to call myself a surfer, but I can stand on a surfboard and I can go forward and I can make a couple of turns. I'm not like my mates that I used to work in Joy Cools in the early 90s. They're far better surfers than me. But I can surf, I can skateboard, I can windsurf. I haven't tried kite surfing yet, but I've got a concept of it. I'm not a complete mug. But yeah, there's a lot of sports where these older guys can take part where age doesn't really matter. I mean, the things like the skateboarding and even diving and stuff where you just have to be at a fitness level. You don't have to be super fit. You just need to be at, level 0.28 or whatever it is to compete. And once you're there, you can win races. So my advice to people, honestly, as I said last week, watch the heats, watch the semifinals. Don't listen to the commentators with, getting overbearing information about favorites and who won last year's whatever. Go and look at the stats. The internet today, Brent, if we had the internet in the 90s with this much information, we'd be a lot better than we would have done better than we'd ever done before. I mean, the information today is unbelievable. And you just got to, and people are that old word with blinkers. They got blinkers on. These commentators and so-called experts, they only see the favorites, 2 or 3, 4 favorites. They don't look to the right or left or that. They have no idea what's going on. And as an example, please, everybody watching the show, go and watch Sarah Sostrom's gold medal last night and go listen to that commentator who picked her up with 3 meters to go in a 100-meter race or 200-meter race. It was unbelievable. My banter's over. Yeah, you can talk now.
Well, I'm going to close the show there. I've got a bit of stuff still to do tonight. But lucky to have you on the show. Please, your wife woke you up. If I'm dishing out gold medals, I'd have to say that Debbie definitely deserves a gold medal for a year.
Of course she does.
She's definitely an Olympic champion in my eyes. Anyways, Gab, thanks a lot, mate. Thanks to the guys who joined on the live chat. And look forward to next week when we start to talk rugby championships as well. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.